Hi, I'm Martha Waite. I live in Lynn, Massachusetts, and I am 3 years into ALS. I was diagnosed in October of 2018, and I am also an artist. So one of the things that I did during COVID was spent a lot of time on the beach not far from my apartment and collected a lot of shells. So after looking at the shells and also being a sculptor, I started noticing that this type of a shell, all I would see when I was walking on the beach were now eyeballs. So I started creating things using these as eyes. Right here is a sea turtle hatching. This is the flipper. And I'm just starting to paint them. And in order to do that, I put them into a plastic cup. I would take pieces of shell, like this one would make a great flipper for the next little sea turtle. So I would put shells in, and the purpose for that was that they're hatching. That it's the sea turtle eggs hatching. So that's why the piece is coming up. Here is another one. And I've just started to paint them. So I don't know if they're coming across well on, but this one's got a larger face. So I collected quite a few things, and I'm still working on some things here. Here is a bird nest, and these little shells, let's see if I can find you one. They almost look like a bird's head. And so what I would do is get a smaller snail shell and put that in that little flat place that I just showed you. Here's a large one. So you put the little round snail shell for the eye there. And then it's plaster that I use to create the nest. So, and then I carve it out. So I have I don't know if it shows, but there's a branch that comes across here, and then there's a wooden part of the branch of the tree. And so that gives that effect. Here's another one. These are larger seabird babies, and this is how it starts out. So I make a mold out of something like this. I'll put the shells in there, much larger than this. I'll put the shells in there in the soft plaster. I use plaster of Paris in the soft plaster. And then once it dries, you start to carve it out. And you can keep these moist to add little details to it as well. So that's what I've been doing during COVID since 2020. I've kind of switched to doing these shells that I found, and I'm really enjoying it. It really helps me to have my mind on something else and to be creative, and they're gifts to give to other people. This is a painting that I did of my mother. It's acrylic, and she went and visited me. I was in a ministry, Agape Force in Texas, Christian ministry, and she came to visit me. And Texas is known for bluebonnets and Indian paintbrushes. They have amazing spring flowers. So my mother has a real love, especially of wildflowers. So I took a picture of her sitting. This is the bluebonnet here, and these are the Indian paintbrushes. And she actually had a blue suit on, but she looks beautiful in salmon. So, when you're an artist, you can change the color. And I really like her in the salmon color. So this is back several years ago. My mother's passed away now, but it was just a tribute to her. This is a painting I did for our church, and it's the moment that Jesus is passing away on the cross, so that's why Jesus has a light blue color. So it's supposed to be just that moment of his last breath. And when I had this hung up in the church, I had a long drape. So this would have been hung up really high on the wall. And then a long drape came down off of the bottom part. And it was just an opportunity if people wanted on Good Friday, if people just wanted to go up to it, the picture and stand in front of the drape. So it was just a way for people to express their emotions towards that piece. I love doing Christmas cards. And you might remember that in 2020, they called it the Star of Bethlehem. There was that special star, the alignment. And so anyway, this was a card that I made for my friends and family. I've always wanted to do the cover of a book. And so I was very fortunate to be asked to do a cover. And so this cover of this book, it's called Tom and Utah. And it's a story about a man who's Jewish and a woman who's a Christian and how they came to know each other. And it's just a lovely story. And they lived during the time of the Holocaust. So the painting is watercolor. And it was just such a wonderful opportunity to bless this couple too. And so right here is Budapest. You might find those towers familiar. And then down below is the countryside in Germany where she lived, where she grew up. So I'd like to encourage all of you with whatever gifts that you have, whether it's baking or just helping out people in a number of ways, that you would do that, because when we have ALS, we don't want to focus on it. We want to make sure that we're doing what we can as long as we can, is how I feel. So if you're an artist or a musician, I just encourage you to keep doing those things, because they bless others, and also they will really bless you and encourage you along the way. Thank you.